Well, look who decided to show up on this Victory Monday.
I don't even need to watch the games anymore. If Ken and Ben are here, I just know the Lions won. You know? That's right.
Welcome to the table, guys.
I love a
Appreciate it.
Victory Monday.
Good to be here.
Nothing like a Victory Monday.
But how about a losing Monday because you weren't here? Neither one of you were here.
I don't show up. Why would I show up for that? That sounds depressing.
I didn't even get out of bed for a
It
whole
was.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just got out of bed
So you left it
at
to
4 o'clock on Sunday.
So you left it to me, Derek, and Ian to carry that.
I gotta
Great.
do what I gotta do, man. You know?
Thanks. Appreciate it. But the Lions were victorious for the first time this season in week 2 with an absolute pummeling of the Chicago Bears, putting up 50-plus points in that game. A little dicey in the first half, I will say. But do you think that what we saw in week 1 was just maybe the blip on the radar for this Lions team? Because they look like the Lions team that we've gotten to know over the last 2 years.
I think it's probably the worst they'll look all year, and a lot of that probably has to do with the Packers and also not playing, a lot of those guys not playing at all in the preseason. But I think the Lions are probably closer to what we saw this week than what we saw in the first week, but definitely not as good as we saw this week either.
I think it's safe to say that Green Bay is actually really good this year.
Yeah.
And it's also safe to say the Bears are really bad this year. Much worse than I thought they would be under Ben Johnson. But look, they're probably in that, that 1-6 phase that we started with Dan Campbell. So, they got to figure it out.
Did you expect the Bears offense to look like the Lions offense like that?
No.
No?
But
But better than what you saw?
you would think every media person out there hyped the Bears up like crazy this summer, and I think everybody just expected them to hit the ground running.
And that's why the games ain't played on paper.
That's right.
I think that we're only through week 2. Okay, so I think that a lot of the stuff we knew about going into the season remains factual. The Bears are undergoing a huge transition. They may or may not be good. Maybe they'll be better later in the season. Green Bay getting Micah Parsons gave them a huge boost. They're juiced coming out of the gate. Who knows where they will be 6-7 weeks down the road. The Lions are bringing in new coordinators, new offensive line. All that stuff has reared its head so far. That looked a lot better in week 2, but not like back to where they were last year on offense. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of like there's a lot of good that came out of that game, but has it quelled all of my fears about the Lions coming into the season as far as can they win the Super Bowl? I mean, for sure, but I don't think that they're back to their, like we're going to dominate every team. I mean, Chicago is clearly not ready to play the Lions.
Yeah.
So this question for you. Last week, if this is the panic button, your hand was like right there. Where are you now? Are we? I'm going to keep going back. You give me the scale. Ready?
Just put your hand away.
Okay.
There's no panic. There's no panic. Week 1 was bad. I mean, that was like really just like one of those really bad games that makes you concerned for front office all the way down. You're like, what are we doing?
Week 1 was just one of those situations where, like you said, Green Bay was juiced after making that trade. It's their season opener. We hadn't played any of our starters in the preseason. I think it was just one of those things where you just got to that's what it was. It was just one of those games where you just got to move on. And I don't think it's going to define them for really any period of the season.
Who impressed you more? Because we saw 52 points. The offense, though, had some ups and downs in the first half. Defense played out of their minds. Which side of the ball impressed you more? Offense or defense in this bounce back game?
It was the offense for me. Like Ken said, not all of my fears are sort of taken care of, but I do think the offensive line played much better. Jared Goff was clean for pretty much the entire game, which was one of the main things that I wanted to see. So they were very impressive. But Kelvin Shepard, he's done a pretty nice job. I mean, there were some ugly parts early in that Green Bay game, but since then, I mean, this team has looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was the offensive line. They played much better. We got that run game going, and that's the bread and butter of this team. If you don't have that run game going, the rest of it doesn't work. So I was so happy to see that run game back because that's our true identity right there.
On the offensive side, though, to start that game, it was the play-action game that was opening up the run. I mean, because that shows you just how much Chicago respected the run game, even though they ran for, 2 yards a carry in Green Bay? They still had memories of the past of what happened.
I was more impressed with the defense because if I had to pick, what was I more worried about after week 1, I could see the offense bouncing back. I mean, they just have so many weapons, and they were going to figure it out. But the defense coming back with so many players that coming off of injury, all that stuff, new coordinator, you didn't really know what they were going to look like. I thought that they had a really good bounce back game. They forced some turnovers. They had pressure in the pocket. They didn't get a bunch of sacks or anything. I think they had 2 or 3 sacks, but they were causing issues for Caleb Williams, and that was significantly different than what was happening to Jordan Love in week 1, where he was just basically sitting back there for as long as he wanted.
Do you think they had enough of a pass rush?
No.
No.
You don't think?
Especially
Okay.
not when the game was actually in doubt.
But it was better. It was way better.
What did you guys think? Davenport gets a sack, and then he's down.
Well, he had left the game earlier, and I was like,
I was just sitting there with my head in my hands, and I was just like, this guy cannot be injured already. But
He was asked about it, and he was like, we'll see after the game. We'll see. So I guess we're all waiting on pins and needles
And
to
I thought
see.
Tyleek Williams had a great
Oh, the
game as
tip?
a rookie.
Yeah, he had a
2
nice
deflected
tip, yeah.
balls. He was getting some pressure on the inside. I thought, that was promising to see a rookie. in
Wait,
week 2.
it's not a rule that when a defensive lineman gets a sack, they must then be injured?
No.
Oh, oh wow. Yeah, I would have been
They're allowed to
worried
get
too
up.
then if I knew that, because like I saw Davenport go down, I was like, beat goes on. But Tyleek was awesome. I mean, he had 2 tipped passes, right?
Yeah.
And both of them were in big moments too. So yeah, it was nice to see that from him. Caleb Williams for almost the entire first half could stand in the pocket and throw for as long as he wanted to, and that's why they were picking up a lot of third downs. I had to feel really good for the Lions to get a couple stops on 4th down, just because Ben Johnson wanted to go in there and do that. But every time the Bears were passing the ball, I really thought Rome Odunze was tearing them apart, and that's because he just had forever to get open. So definitely still worried about
The
that.
Lions are, for some reason, they are a second half adjustment team. Like the first half of their defense sometimes is like, what's going on here? You guys covering anybody? And then they make those adjustments in the second half. Even versus the Packers, that defense was a lot better in the second half of the game. And same with the Bears game. That defense came out, basically shut the game down.
How much different do you think that game feels if the Lions don't get that call right before the half?
Pretty different.
Because the Bears,
They were going to the locker room,
conceivably-
man. They were going to the locker
They
room.
were going to come out with a chance to tie the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead, they're down 14. It felt to me like they never.
After
they
that,
never
like
recovered
that,
from
that was the moment that defined the game.
Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know. If it's 21-14 and the Lions just spoiled a chance to score, and Ben Johnson's
After a great
offense,
play by Tesla again,
and Ben Johnson's team comes back out and scores to tie it at 21, I think there's a lot of worry going on in that building.
But it's not like they got a call. Like that was the right call.
But it was incorrectly officiated.
But they corrected it just like they do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I just mean, it
I'm
wasn't
not
like
saying the
gifted
Lions
to
didn't
them.
deserve a break, but
It wasn't even a break. It was a correction of the call.
if the ref
they
would
were fully entitled to that play, is my point.
If the ref would have correctly called that Tesla was downed in bounds without needing to review it, the clock would have ran out. It did run out because the Lions went to snap the ball and the clock hit 0. So it's not like some controversial necessarily play, and the Lions have been on the other side of that 10 times more than they've been
Imagine
on
the
this
talk
side
in
of it.
Chicago today, because they might be
I
having the
guarantee
converse
that's the number one
conversation.
talking point, other than, the Lions running up the score and being jerks. But
Did they run up the score?
No.
They could have scored more. I mean,
yeah.
it felt like they left some points on the table.
They really did, because the defense would get the ball and then the offense would go 3 and out,
Yeah.
3 and out,
Yeah.
and it could have been even worse.
When you take
but
the
the fourth
quarterback
down call,
out.
and they asked Ben Johnson about this after the game. He was like, "No, I'm not upset, because that's what they do. It's 4th down. They're gonna go for the touchdown because they really don't kick field goals."
Yeah.
And he knows better than anyone.
He does.
If you're playing the backup, you're not running the score up, man. That's just the score. Sorry.
If you're kicking field goals up 4 scores, that's running the score up in my book. At least if you're going on 4th down, you're giving the other team a chance to get a stop. They have
Interesting
fate in their own hands. If you're kicking field goals up 28 or whatever it was at that point, that's way worse in my opinion.
By the way, the Lions, I looked on StatMuse, have put up 50-plus points 6 times in their history. 6 times. 3 of them have happened in the last 14 games that they've played. So maybe
Jared Goff is just
they back.
so electric. Yeah.
Maybe they back. Maybe they. Now is going to be the real litmus test for this team, though, because they are going back to Baltimore, and we all remember what happened in that game a couple years ago. That was before the Packers game. We had the conversation last week that was the last time I can remember this team getting dominated on the football field.
Yep.
How much different do you think things will be this time in Baltimore for this team on Monday Night Football? What percentage chance you're giving them to go off and pull the upset against the Ravens?
20.
Yeah, I got to be around there, about a 25% chance, because this game reminds me of one of those games where Dan Campbell probably has it marked, because it feels like we always get dominated in Baltimore. We just never have a chance there. It's like we just have like ghosts in that stadium. And it feels like maybe this is one of those games Dan Campbell wants to exercise the demons and kind of just take care of that. So I could see that happening and see us playing a really good game. But I also think the start of the season is going to have us kind of on this roller coaster of up and down weeks where, maybe after Monday we're hitting the panic button again, possibly, and then we're going to feel really good against the Browns.
What's your percentage chance?
25% I give it.
A little bit of an increase.
I'll go like 40.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
only because there is no team pettier than the Lions, and I mean that in the
Bingo, because
best
go
way.
back to last week. Go back to last week when Dan Campbell was asked about the fuel he needed. You know what? He's going back into the reserves from 2 years ago going into this game.
And these guys do not drop a grudge, okay? Right. And you know what's funny about that? The Ravens don't even know that there's a grudge.
Nope, they forgot about that.
They have no idea. They're like, wait, they're
what
mad
game,
at us?
huh?
What are you talking about? Revenge game? Well, from what? I feel like the Lions are the team that takes all of that, puts it into their game planning, into everything they do. I mean, all the comments about Ben Johnson after the game yesterday, nothing really before, but you can tell that they were in those player meetings and all that stuff for the last couple of weeks talking about Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, in the media, they were all about respect and how much respect they had
until
for Ben
after
Johnson.
the game.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Brian Branch in the locker room yesterday was basically like, yeah, we want to get him.
Yeah.
We did not like that he went to the Bears. I'm like, okay, thank you for saying everything that we thought you were thinking.
Yeah.
But man, they are there. They're going to Baltimore to try and set things straight.
That wallet's got some receipts.
Yep.
That's all I know.
So-
So it should be interesting. That's coming up next Monday as they take on the Ravens, and then they come back home to take on the Browns. Still much more to come on DSP. We are looking toward the college football season. Big Ten play starting up for both Michigan and Michigan State. We'll dive into that coming up on DSP. Big Ten play beginning this weekend for both Michigan and Michigan State. Let's start off with the Wolverines, who got a dominating non-conference win against Central Michigan over the weekend. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. 63-3, the final score. Last week, we were sitting at this table, and we were talking about, okay, let Bryce Underwood go. You didn't let it happen at Oklahoma. Well, guess what? We saw that in surplus against the Chips. I mean, impressed?
Yeah, I was very impressed. Yeah, people always want to talk about how much can you really take from playing, no offense, Ian, an opponent like Central Michigan. And when you blow someone out that bad, I think that you have to be, your best case scenario has to be pretty good to do that to a team. So we finally got to see sort of what the best version of Michigan can look like. And then Bryce Underwood was just electric, both on the ground. They ran him more than I thought they would, and through the air.
I love seeing them open up the playbook for him because it opened up everything else. And I think the biggest thing to come out of that game is how much confidence do you think that game gave Bryce Underwood? I mean, I think that's got to be just huge for his development. For sure. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from that game. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Bryce Underwood come away with a performance that he could really come away with so much confidence and look back and be like, man, I played really well. Let's start building on that.
It was crazy to see a Michigan team lean on the pass.
Yeah.
I was shocked because even they had to maybe 12 of their first 15 plays were passing. And I was like, are we running the ball today or not? Are we just going to pass? So that just shows how dynamic Bryce Underwood is. I mean, you can't just resort to what you think your football team should be when you have a player like that. You got to let him go, and that's what they did.
Yeah, Sharon didn't do a good job passing on to Biff Poggi, the 3rd and 8 quota, because Michigan did well short of their usual quota.
How much confidence? We talked about that game giving him confidence. How much confidence does that give you, though, going into Big Ten play against a Nebraska team that's put up a lot of points to start off the year?
So I'm gonna take what I saw in Oklahoma and what I saw against Central Michigan and merge them to sort of create my idea of Michigan going into this game. And what I think is that Michigan is going to struggle against really good pass rushes because that offensive line is not proven. Bryce Underwood is still a freshman. Mm-hmm. So I think Oklahoma might want to have one of the best defensive lines in the country. So that's why Michigan was a little afraid to unleash him in that game. But when he can actually has time to make plays, he clearly is one of the better playmakers that we've seen at Michigan at quarterback. So,
yeah, I mean, I just want to see Bryce in Big Ten play because it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you can't even. It's not even something you can prepare for.
Yeah,
you just have to be in it. You need the experience. So, I don't know. I just want to see him. be accurate, be a leader on the field like he has been, have a good game, be competitive, I think Michigan's going to win.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We got an early
I said
prediction.
it.
you're
I
not
didn't
the
even know
only
that was a
one.
bold prediction.
You're not the only one because as of right now, they are a 2.5-point favorite on the road against an undefeated Nebraska team. And Patrick Mahomes Jr.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting Michigan to be a slight underdog. I did see that they opened as a small favorite. I understand why, but it does help that Bryce has played in Oklahoma. Usually when you're going on your first Big Ten road game, like you've played a couple home games or so the fact that he played in that Oklahoma atmosphere will help, but the Nebraska atmosphere is different than Oklahoma's atmosphere. Even at 2:30 p.m., it won't be quite the same as a night game.
But they still eat,
that
sleep,
atmosphere,
and breathe football there.
better than what he saw at Oklahoma. So.
All right, that game coming up at 3:30 Eastern time this weekend on Saturday should be a good game. Michigan State also heading into Big Ten play, 3-0 to start the year, just like last year. But an impressive win. I mean, final score, it looked impressive, but this was a 17-10 game against an FCS opponent that they had. You're shaking your head already, Ken.
Nah, man,
Any
that was not
confidence in the
impressive.
Spartans?
I mean, I have some confidence, but like you'd like to see them beat Youngstown State a little more than that, and they allowed way too many points from Youngstown State.
A team that calls themselves the Penguins.
The Penguins. Come on, man! I was really hoping to see just like a blowout, shutdown win for the Spartans. They haven't had one of those.
I was gonna say Michigan State doesn't do
a long
that.
time. I was like, just let them have it. Like, let's go.
If they played Ben Johnson, they would have stopped at 28 and just not even
the
scored.
score was way too close during parts of that game. I just I wanted to see more. The USC game is going to be tough for them.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, forget the kickoff time at
Forget the
11
time
o'clock.
change.
11 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, I'll be asleep.
Not you, by the way. You're going to be asleep? How many? We were talking about percentages earlier. What do you think the percentage of people finishing that game will be? If you're going to stay up till 2 o'clock
On the
in
East
the morning.
Coast?
Yeah.
A lot of Spartan fans. That's about it.
Derek Hutchinson.
You're watching?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll say this about Michigan State. This was a classic, we just got a huge overtime win against Boston College, and next week we play USC, tweener game where you're like, oh, we really have to play Youngstown. Can we just sim this game real quick and get on to the Big Ten? So yes, the score was ugly and they were only up 7 at halftime, but pretty much the whole second half, it was a 14 to 17 point game. So there was never really worry that they were going to lose the game. I need to see them come out at USC because they played 3 home games. We don't know how good Boston College is. It's good that they're 3-0. If they actually put up a fight or beat USC, then we're talking about a whole different thing this time next week.
Yeah, go get one.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This was I have a very similar feeling as last year I did with this team because they were 3-0, and then they went to Boston College and lost that game in the rain. They're a 17-point underdog to USC. So we'll see that. And then Nick Marsh, it sounds like he's TBD for the game. I mean, if they don't have him, that's going to be
it's game over.
That's going to be an uphill battle for that offense, to say the least. But that game is coming up again at 11 p.m. Eastern time at USC on Saturday night. Still more to come on DSP. Ian is coming in. We're going to the bullpen. Perfect segue there because the Tigers have a pretty big series again as we get into the stretch of the season with the Guardians coming up on the schedule. We'll dive into that coming up after the break.
No?
Come on, Ken. Come on, Ken. We're talking some baseball. Important
That's
series
why
for
I
the
said
Tigers.
don't depend on too much.
Well, that's why we called to the bullpen, and Ian is here. There he is.
Thank goodness.
Yay, yay. We are in September. The Tigers are
Ben,
still...
you want to pinch hit?
Tigers are still leading the division, but Cleveland comes to town next, starting on Tuesday. Biggest series of the year for the Tigers? It seems like we've said that at least a half dozen times this year, but timing-wise...
It's going to be the biggest series until the next series against the Guardian next week.
Depending on how this series goes, because if the Tigers take care of business in this series, then that next series probably won't matter. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
Let's hope that's the case, right?
yeah, for
Because
sure.
this is lining up to be really interesting a week out or a week and a half out, whatever it is. You have 6 games left against the Guardians. They're 6.5 back.
Yeah.
You end the season against Boston, who's also trying to make sure they make the playoffs. This sounds great. This is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, the Guardians
when we were up 13 games earlier in the season.
The Guardians have 4 coming up against the Twins, right? So let's just say
Keep saying sweet things to me, Derek.
So if the panic button,
No.
You do it. Yes. Hold on. Keep going, kid.
Here's why I'm not pressing the panic button yet. Because the Tigers this is what they've done the entire second half. They'll play a series where they look terrible and we're like, oh my gosh, they're going to blow
What
it.
happened?
And then they'll play the Yankees and win 2 out of 3. Or they'll play, the Blue Jays and look really good. So the Tigers, hopefully, are going to reset back at home because they have played much better at home this season. So we do not want it to come down to a 3-game series in Cleveland. But I think it's just the fact that we've got all this trauma from the
lots
last
of trauma.
decade and
Lots of
from
trauma.
last postseason that specifically deals with Cleveland. And that's why we're nervous going into this series.
And there's been 1 series win in like the last 5 series, so that's not great. But with all that said, if you were to ask me, like, are they making it in? I'm done doubting this team. Like, they're gonna make it.
They're going to make it
They're gonna
in,
make
but
it in.
but what are you concerned that they lose the division?
Well,
I mean, we just kind of
No, I
mapped
already cashed out my ticket on DraftKings. So if
Okay.
they win or lose, as long as they're in the playoffs, I'm
Well,
okay.
here's what I'll say. The Tigers are more likely to make the playoffs as a division team than a wild card team because Cleveland is well behind the last wild card team. So if the Tigers theoretically were going to collapse to a point where Cleveland could pass them, there's a really good chance that they're actually collapsing their way fully out of the playoffs. Because the Mariners
Okay, now we're having a different conversation.
So to me, the only conversation is the division because either the Tigers are finishing what they've owned all year, or it's going to be looked at by me as a disaster. They need to win 2 out of 3 this against Cleveland in this and basically shut it all down.
Kid looks like the meme with the side eyes right now.
yeah, they got to win. They got to win 2 out of 3 of these
Yeah,
games.
and Skubal is lined up to start Game 3. You've got Mize and Flaherty starting the first 2 games, so that's. I mean, do you feel great about them right now? No, but they're the best 3 you've got.
Overall, I mean, full
They're
body
your
work of
3
the
best,
season, yeah.
Yes, they're your 3 best starting pitchers. They're the 3 guys who are going to be starting in playoff series if you get there. So you couldn't ask for it to line up any better than what you've got right now. So go take care of business.
So after Tarek Skubal, it's no question that he is the leader of this team, this pitching staff, everything. After him, where's your confidence level in that rotation, bullpen, you name it, going into a playoff series?
Okay, so here's why I'm okay with it in the playoffs, because these guys aren't going to be asked to go as deep as they do in the regular season. If you look at Mize and Flaherty's numbers for the first 2 times through the rotation, they're significantly better than the 3rd time through the rotation. So if you think about going into the playoffs, that we're never going to see, these guys are not going to see a team a 3rd time through the rotation, then you're talking about kind of peak Mize and Flaherty, and then I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Even the bullpen, because it's been a roller coaster to say the least all year.
the other nice thing
I'm
about
just
the
trying
bullpen.
to say nice things here. Hobie.
Okay,
I don't
great.
know.
Okay.
No, I legitimately feel like the Tigers are built better for a playoff series than they are for a season.
I agree. I actually agree with that.
in their current form because, like Ian said, Casey Mize and Jack Flaherty, they don't need to go 6 or 7 innings in a playoff series, which has 2+ off days built into it. They just need to go 4 or 5, and then Tyler Holton goes 2,
Yeah.
or
Melton.
exactly.
Montero, if he makes the playoff
Will
roster.
Vest. So
yeah.
and especially when AJ Hinch is your manager, he's going to find a way to piece it together and give you the best odds possible.
Agreed. I think pitching.
I don't know what's going on over here.
you're saying that they're not built to win regular season games. They're only built
As
Yeah,
they
different-
currently
yeah.
constructed.
Agreed.
Without Reese Olson, with Casey Mize
Because you're
reverting.
asking your starters to go deeper in the game,
Yeah.
and it's that
No,
last.
I understand, but you need to win the regular. You need to win the regular.
Yeah,
games.
we're not talking about that. We're definitely worried about that.
like
Kev.
currently,
Yeah.
real
Yes, we're
time.
very worried.
I'm saying the roster right now is more dangerous to me in a short playoff series than it is if we had another month to go in the season.
Right, which is a huge problem because they're not in the playoffs yet.
Made that abundantly clear. Yes.
Is this the new thing?
I don't know where that even came from.
I don't know. I just couldn't keep
I was
it
just.
together.
I was just.
He was just, yeah.
I was.
Inquisitive
look.
Ken.
I was perplexed. is all.
Perplexed. So, jury's still out on this team.
No, they'll make the playoffs, and they're gonna win the division.
I mean, I think
There we go. There's
It's
the
gonna happen.
confidence
Yeah,
level.
it would take something disastrous for them not to,
Yeah.
but
like losing 6 games to Cleveland over the next,
Yeah, a week or so.
9 games.
Yeah. Well, they got to start somewhere, and that's
All
starting
right,
on
we're doing
Tuesday
tonight.
as they take
Let's
on the
go.
Guardians. Season's still not done, but we are done for this episode of DSP. For Ken, for Ian, for Derek, and for Ben, I'm Hobie. We will see y'all next time.